Hi viewers, I'm Arun Gopalakrishna. Welcome to the Facebook live session on ear pain. Ear pain isn't always preventable. Ear pain in medical terms it is called as otalgia. Commonly occurs in children, but it can also happen in adults. Pain that begins inside the ear is known as primary otalgia, whereas pain that originates outside the ear is known as secondary otalgia. Today, we have with us the leading ENT expert, Dr. Sunny K. Mehra, consultant ENT head and neck surgeon with over 16 years of experience. Welcome to the Facebook live session, Dr. Sunny. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Arun sir.
My first question, Dr. Sunny, what is otalgia? Because as a layman, it's very difficult to understand otalgia.
See, otalgia is actually a symptom. It is a symptom and a sign for the doctor to see, to check. So the symptom would be a ear pain, which is in layman's terms, the pain when you touch, you pull, or you feel from the ear. But there are different types of these ear pain, which we will come now in the session. As we are talking, I will brief you regarding how this otalgia gets divided into.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Sunny, what causes otalgia?
There are multiple causes of otalgia, starting with primary otalgia and secondary otalgia. So as we know, primary otalgia is a primary ear pain which develops from the ear and its structure, that is the outer ear, the middle ear and the inner ear. So the hearing apparatus, if it has any kind of trouble or pathology which can cause ear pain, it is known as primary otalgia. Okay. There is another term which we know known as secondary otalgia, which arises from the surrounding structures that surround the ear. So it can be from your sinuses, it can be from your neck, it can be from your throat, it can be from your voice box, it can be from your joint. Anything surrounding the ear can cause a pain which gets referred to the ear, which is otherwise known as your referred otalgia, otherwise also a secondary otalgia.
Okay, doctor, can you brief us on referred otalgia?
See, what referred otalgia goes like is, there are cranial nerves that supply the face. They come from the brain, enter into our face and get into our neck and distribute into the body. Okay. So most of the structures, out of which there are 4 to 5 cranial nerves which enter the region around the ear and then get into various parts of your face and then get into the body. So the nerve sensation from wherever around the face, around the neck, up to the foot pipe, the windpipe, the voice box, all the nerve sensations from this area are carried in and around the ear, and then the impulse of those pain sensation gets into the brain. Okay. So any part of this body, any part of your face, your neck, and also up to your level of your stomach, if there is any problem over there, the nerve pain gets referred on to your ear, depending on which side. If it is more on the right side, is the right side. You have 2 sets of cranial nerves. So on the right side, the right ear gets affected, and on the left side, you have the left side of the ear getting affected. So that gives us an idea when the ear has no problem. The ear is perfectly fine, looks normal. You touch the ear, you pull the ear, you feel the hearing is okay. Then that gives us an insight that the ear is not the problem. The problem lies somewhere else, which is giving you a signal that the ear is the one having the pain. So those other areas will have to be investigated. So there are certain nerves. You have the 5th cranial nerve known as the trigeminal nerve, which supplies the sensation over your forehead, your cheeks, your sinuses, your jawbone, your salivary glands. So these areas, your tooth. So all these areas, the front portion of your tongue, your cheeks, so all this is supplied by a trigeminal nerve, and the ganglion lies within the ear. So whenever this nerve actually, any problem with, like you have a joint, your temporomandibular joint problem, when opening and closing your mouth, you have ulcers on your cheek, you have ulcers over your tongue, over the palate, you have a tumor growing inside the tongue. So all these can relate to a pain in the ear, which the patient cannot be able to see also. Maybe he will not realize that he will come to you with a ear pain, but actually when you check the ear, there will not be any problem with the ear. So a detailed examination in and around the ear and its structures is very much required for you to come to a diagnosis. So you have, like how I told you, the trigeminal nerve, you have a nerve which supplies the throat, which is known as your glossopharyngeal nerve, which is the 9th cranial nerve. So that nerve actually helps in swallowing. It's if any related tonsil infection, a growth in the tonsil, you have a tumor in the tonsil, you have tumor in the posterior aspect of the tongue, the behind portion of the tongue, all those areas are supplied by your glossopharyngeal nerve. So that nerve also, if the tumor is compressing over the nerve, the pain sensation is carried on to the ear. So when you swallow, you have the pain in your ear. So patient mainly feels that there is some difficulty in swallowing, but this is the symptom, the ear pain is the symptom which the patient cares more about, because he's worried about the pain. So that is another. Then you have something, the next nerve, which is the facial nerve. So you have a facial nerve, the nerve that supplies the face, the movements over the face. It supplies the posterior, the portion of the tongue also. So that also carries the sensation from all the around the face up to your ear, and then from the ear into the brain. So any area, surrounding area, which is affected by that nerve or compressing or causing some problem to the nerve takes that particular sensation to the ear. So the symptom, the only symptom the patient will present to you with, he will not see a small swelling over there in the throat, which will be an initial small growth. Can be a tumor, can be a cancer, can be a malignancy. He can miss it out. But the symptom of ear pain will be an alarming symptom for the doctor, which when the ear checked and found to be normal, then the investigation to check if there is any other problem inside the throat, the nose, the neck, any other problem which is corresponding to this ear pain has to be detected and then taken care of.
That was very elaborative and easy to understand, Dr. Sani. Dr. Sani, earlier you mentioned that there are two types of otalgia, that is primary and secondary. What are the causes? What are the causes of primary otalgia?
See, as I told you, primary otalgia involves the hearing apparatus. That is your outer ear, your the ear canal, the eardrum, the middle ear, and your inner ear, which connects to the brain.
Okay.
So any problem within this ear, this portion, which is an alarming signal, which can be easily caught or seen by the doctor and can be treated specifically. So the starting cause would be an injury to the pinna, a swelling in the pinna, a burn, a scald to the pinna. People living in cold countries, frostbite, you call it a frostbite, the ears get, your tip of your nose and your ears get frozen. So those, any bite over the pinna, as we know, one of the famous boxers, he had a severe bite over the pinna and he had to, undergo a procedure. And any tumor involving the outer ear, any external ear infection like external otitis, fungal infection of the ear, your external ear canal, your middle ear infection, you have your chronic suppurative otitis media, which is a middle ear infection, and then you have wax stuck in the ear for a prolonged period of time, then you have a bony growth in the ear. Any of these kind of problems involving up to the level of the inner ear and the brain, you have a canal that goes from the inner ear all the way up to the brain, known as your internal acoustic meatus. So this particular canal has the main nerves that carry the sensation, the facial nerve as well as your hearing nerve. your nerve, that is the vestibular cochlear nerve, is carried through this canal all the way up to the brain. So any tumor compressing over these nerves, causing a severe ear pain and not having any other problem anywhere in the head and neck, should raise a suspicion that there is a tumor present in that area, and a corresponding scan, an MRI, which of this particular internal acoustic meatus can be done. And this kind of tumors are found very rarely because it is very difficult to diagnose. But an alarming symptom of this problem would be patient just coming to you with a simple ear pain and a ear blocking sensation. So a routine ear block and a ear pain should not be, you should not let it go and just, try to treat. Maybe you can try to treat it yourself for a couple of days and see. But if the symptoms are persisting for a prolonged period of time, it is always suggested to meet the right physician and then get treated accordingly.
Fantastic, doctor. That's fantastic. Dr. Sunny, what about secondary otalgia causes?
See, secondary otalgia, as I told you, it is otherwise known as referred otalgia. So from this ear, so you have this particular ear. So the portion in front of the ear is supplied by another type of nerve known as auriculotemporal nerve, whereas the portion behind the ear is supplied by an auricular branch of your vagus nerve. So these sensation to this part of the ear is supplied by two different nerves. So a patient presenting to you with the pain, sir, I have only pain if I touch in front of the ear. That means there is a nerve known as your fifth nerve, your trigeminal nerve, which is otherwise known as your auriculotemporal nerve. So that nerve is actually supplies the portion of your forehead, your maxilla and your mandible. It has three and goes up to the neck. So any problem only in the front if you touch, and he says, doctor, if I touch at the back, there is no pain because the sensation for behind the ear and in front of the ear is different nerves. So if touching in front, then those areas which that nerve supplies has to be examined. Whereas the portion behind the ear is supplied by the 10th cranial nerve, which is a vagus nerve. The nerve supplies the neck, the throat, all the way up to your stomach. So that area has to be checked when a patient presents to you with pain only behind the ear, sir. I do not have, or pain, or sometimes even loss of sensation. Because the nerve gets compressed, the function of the nerve is lost, sensation around the ear is less, and sometimes pain is a corresponding feature. So this is for the portion outside. Now, as we are going inside, the eardrum, the external ear, is supplied by another set of nerve, which is known as your vagus nerve. So a patient complaining again from inside the ear, he has to check again the area from the neck all the way down up to the abdomen, up to your stomach. So that areas have to be examined. Whereas a portion of only the eardrum, you take a cotton and you touch his eardrum, the eardrum looks normal, but the pain is over there. That is supplied by your another nerve, a 9th cranial nerve. So each part of the ear inside has a supply from different parts of the body. So supplied by each nerve. So pain to every part of inside the ear can give you an idea about which part of the body or neck or face is affected, which is leading to that pain which is caused in the ear.
Thank you for clarifying in detail, Dr. Sunny.
Thank you.
Is there any home remedy for acute ear pain?
See, I have gone through and treated a lot of people. There have been a lot of people. To tell you, I had a few people who had put an entire part of garlic into the ear and squeezed it in along with the cotton bud and poured a couple of drops of hot oil on top of it, thinking that the pain will. They had taken this particular treatment from one of the most common websites seen by people. I do not need to mention that website. And the person came to me saying the pain disappeared for half an hour after pouring the hot oil. So, and then the pain was so severe, he couldn't do anything but come to the hospital thereafter. So the reason for this is the hot oil has burnt the nerve endings. So the nerves have got burnt. So the function of the nerve, the patient felt relieved for half an hour. But after which the pain was so severe because of the injury and the burns that has caused, which we had to take into the operation theatre, clear that area, remove that garlic piece and clean the ear. Luckily, the nerve was not so damaged that the face, the movements of the face, all that was not affected. So I am on a follow-up with this patient. It had taken place around 6 months back. The patient is on a follow-up. He has got a hole in the eardrum. I have advised him to go undergo surgery, but he is a little weary. But I'm sure he will come back and get himself treated for it.
That's very interesting, Dr. Sunny. Viewers, a small point here. See, basically, we tend to listen to our elders, and grandparents giving home remedies. Before doing all that, it's always better you consult your specialist. Okay, and then you decide on what to do.
The only home remedy which I would suggest is, if by any chance in the night there is an insect that enters your ear,
Okay.
a small insect, and gives you severe ear pain, and you can hear the buzzing of the insect.
Yes.
It can be an ant, it can be a small mosquito, it can be anything, a small beetle. The only thing which you should do is put a few drops of water and drown that insect. Keep a cotton and drown the insect and come to the hospital, get the insect removed and get treated accordingly. That is the only home remedy I would suggest for any acute ear pain, because without knowing what is the problem in the ear, there is a hole in the eardrum. We take oil, we take something and we push in water or whatever, and then this water gets into the middle ear and even causes much more serious complications than we can think about.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunny. Dr. Sunny, when do one consult an ENT specialist?
When the pain is not, when you have a severe cold, you have a severe throat, upper respiratory tract infection, the ear pain is not bearable and is blocked, which people try to do all kinds of maneuvers. Do not try any sort of things. Get your primary problem treated first, which is your upper respiratory tract infection, so that you keep your ears safe. So definitely when there is any upper respiratory tract infection, you have to consult, especially during this pandemic period. This period is not something which we can take a cold or a cough lightly. So this period needs us to be on our toes, and if anyone in and around our family is having even a mild symptom of cold or a cough, which is not treated by a regular antihistamine which everyone takes, do some steam inhalation, it is not working in 1 or 2 days, please consult with your physician, an ENT specialist, and get yourself treated accordingly.
That's great, doctor. Dr. Sunny, how is otalgia diagnosed?
See, depending, as I told you, first of all, the patient comes to the doctor. So we have to check what is the cause for otalgia. So whether it is a primary otalgia or it's a referred or a secondary otalgia. So if it is a primary otalgia, we first do an ear examination. So we check the eardrum, we check the external ear, we pull, we press the ear. So we check. So and then we check the nose and the throat, because all are connected. So depending on what the problem is, if the ear looks simple, looks normal, there is no issue with the ear, his hearing seems okay, then we go into putting our fingers, checking the tongue, the posterior aspect of the tongue. We do an endoscopy. First we do non-invasive procedures. Either we take a scan, a CT scan of the sinuses, the neck, to rule out any other cause. We press over the joint to check any joint tenderness. We check the neck, any swellings in the neck, in and around the neck, behind the neck. So all this is all clear. Then we go in for endoscopic. So we put in an endoscope through the nose, behind the ear, where the eustachian tube opens behind the nose. We check whether there is any swelling around the eustachian tube, any kind of tumor in the nasopharynx, any swelling sitting there, which we cannot see with the naked eye. So we put in a tube, we check the nasopharynx, we see if there is any abnormality. Then we put a tube into the throat, we check the voice box, the larynx, the hypopharynx, that is the area where your foot pipe opens. All those areas are checked, and then we come to a diagnosis, both clinically, radiologically, and endoscopically. All together, we put forward the diagnosis to the patient and then tell the patient that this is your problem and this has to be done next for you to get your treatment in an appropriate way.
That's great, doctor.
Yeah.
Dr. Sunny, what are the treatment options available?
There are multiple treatment options. First of all, medically, the ear pain can be treated in a very comfortable medical way with good use of antibiotics, mucolytic agents, anti-allergics, steroid nasal sprays, and some nasal decongestant. So usually if it's an upper respiratory tract infection, medically we treat it. We tell the patient, don't blow your nose very hard because it causes negative pressure and collect fluid. But some people who leave their upper respiratory tract infection untreated, they come with complications where you have fluid collection known as a secretory otitis media or an otitis media with effusion, where you have fluid from your nose getting collected into the ear. So as you blow your nose, the secretions get into the ear and block your ear. They become thickened, which is very common in children because the eustachian tube opening is much smaller than when compared to adults. So the fluid collection is more, and a small baby who's continuously crying, a small newborn baby or a 2-year-old baby or a 1-year-old baby, they cannot explain to you. So the mother comes to us, tells us that there is baby is going on holding his ear. He's not taking his feeds because his ear is paining. When he swallows, the ear pains. So he's not drinking milk well. So then when we examine, we see the eardrum. It is red with collection. You have air fluid levels. You have bubbles behind the eardrum. Then we do small procedure where we nick the eardrum, clear the fluid out, and we keep a ventilation tube over there. Whereas the baby becomes comfortable, he is able to feed well, and then we review the patient regularly until the ventilation tube comes out. So there are many causes for this ear pain, as I told you. It can be a tumor, it can be a tooth pain, a dental infection, which can cause. So when we examine, we see there is a dental problem, we refer the patient to a dentist. When we see there is a tumor somewhere in the neck, then we take a biopsy from it, wait for the report, and then refer the patient to a surgical or a medical oncologist, depending. So depending on each and every problem, if it is a joint issue, we try to give him muscle relaxants, tell them to rest. So every single problem has a treatment side by side, but it can be easily diagnosed early. And ear pain is an alarming symptom. It should not be confused that only it is due to the ear problem that I have a ear pain. Every single lot of nerves that come down from the neck all the way up to the ear are the ones that are giving you a sign, showing to you that the ear pain is because of these problems you are having the ear pain. So then we treat it accordingly, make sure we have a holistic approach with our colleagues, our oncologist, physician, general surgeon, depending on what the problem is, and then we treat it accordingly.
Thank you so much for educating us, Dr. Sunny.
Yes,
Dr. Sunny, we are hearing a lot about Omicron. Is there a way to differentiate common cold from COVID?
There is absolutely no way.
Okay.
It can only be tested because the symptoms of a common cold and that of a common of your coronavirus are very similar symptoms. So there is no way, we cannot say that. Only thing what we can see is in a common cold, the fever is not so high and persistent. Whereas in a corona patient, the fever persists for a prolonged period of time with very high 101, 102, which doesn't come down with even medicines. But there is no absolute way for me clinically to differentiate a patient because the symptoms of nose block, running nose are the same when a patient comes to you with a common influenza, common cold also. So there is no way other than keeping yourself safe, be precautious while treating these kind of patients and make sure to test these patients. at least advise them to undergo a home test if they don't want to undergo an RT-PCR, because a home test can give us a light over whether the infection is there or no, and if it is there, then proceed with further testing and necessary treatment.
That's very interesting, and you made it very clear, Dr. Sunny.
Thank you.
Dr. Sunny, this is out of the questions what you have, I wanted to always ask you.
Sure.
When a ear pain persists, whom to consult first, Google or ENT specialist?
So, see, I had a professor who always, we used to, as when we were doing our studies, any question, we used to have our mobile phones, and it used to be, we used to sit. So, whatever question he asked, we used to quickly Google. Yeah, what is this question? You believe it or not, 6 or 7 out of 10 times, the answer used to be wrong. And he used to know that we are reading the particular thing from Google and telling him. Later, he called us in and he told us, okay, you check the answers and let me know who has written these answers. Do we have an evidence of who is putting this up on Google? Is it written, the person? Anyone can put anything up in Google. As long as you find it comfortable, use it and see if it is helpful. But do not make dreadful decisions of trying to put a piece of garlic and hot oil inside, as it says in Google. In case of acute ear pain, try to put a piece of garlic and squeeze it and pour some oil, hot or warm oil inside. So these kind of messages, it is not written by whom it has been put, who has posted these messages. So I would definitely suggest you, if you stay in an environment, in an urban setting, it is always better to consult a person and try to get yourself treated in an appropriate way by a physician safely, without experimenting what is not required to be experimented. Because ear is a very safe, a very important organ for us to hear. So you do not want to create any kind of trouble to it, because you need it lifelong. From when you become a child till you become a grandparent, you want your hearing to be intact so that you can enjoy your life with your grandparents, and also your childhood should be happy. So my suggestion would be, do not try. You can take the information and read it. There is no wrong. It is an information. It can be wrong, but always the doctors are freely available now on online consultation. You have some colleagues, you can always consult with them on the phone and check whether what you're reading and what you're hearing is right. And if not, what has to be done. And still, if not, kindly come meet a physician and see how to get it treated.
That's fantastic, doctor. So viewers, if there is a ear pain, okay, you Google it. There is no problem at all. But end of the day, you don't know whether it is verified content or not. But please make sure you consult an ENT specialist. They are just a call away. Okay. And Dr. Sunny, what is your take-home message?
My take-home message is, stay safe now during this particular third. I don't know whether to call it the third wave or not, but please stay safe. And if you have any kind of symptoms involving your nose and throat, kindly get yourself tested first, and then come to a area where the people are around. So get yourself tested, and if the test, depending on the test, you then make your next step. If the test comes positive, stay at home, isolate yourself, sanitize, mask, and call the doctor. Online consultations are very much available in VS Hospital. So kindly inform the people, get onto the VS Hospital website, get online, connect with your doctor, and get yourself treated in a right way.
That was very, very educative, Dr. Sunny. We have seen you at VS hospitals. Most of the patients, you're very friendly. You make your patients comfortable. That is what I've seen from my eyes, actually. It's always nice to see Dr. Sunny. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. When ear pain results from an infection, you may not be able to recover easily without a course of antibiotics. Now, since ear pain can also result as a symptom of other conditions, you risk being in pain until that condition is treated. So never ever ignore your ear pain and visit your trusted ENT specialist at the earliest. Next Thursday, that is 13th January 2022, join us for a Facebook live session at 8 p.m. on All About GERD, and we'll be inviting Dr. Shubha Vivekan. She is a consultant medical gastroenterologist, hepatologist, and endoscopist at VS Hospitals, Chennai. Dr. Sunny, thank you so much for taking your time out today. We will surely catch up on one more interesting topic very soon.
Surely.
We would love to have you on Facebook sessions. It's always pleasure to listening to you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sunny.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day. Thank you, viewers. Take care. Thank you.